Warning: the following podcast show that you're about to listen to will include explicit language and content in which you, the members of the audience, may find offensive. Audience discretion is advised.
Welcome to another episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience.
Yeah, boy.
Where anything and everything is a subject matter on the show, and no subject matter is ever taboo.
Damn, that's what's up with you.
And now, your host with the most, Mr. Kim Hoang. Bro, am I getting paid for this?
Yo, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How in the world are you guys doing? This is your boy, Kim Hoang, the Asian sensation, and yes, we are here once again for another great edition of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, coming at you live from the Asian Sensation Studio in the greater Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, and, I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling really good. Everything is great. Everything is lovely. I am happy to be here, recording yet another awesome piece of content for you guys to enjoy. And as always, it is a pleasure and an honor. And we're here in the booth. It is absolutely great. Hector is actually not here today. And I asked him not to be here today. You know what I mean? Because there's definitely going to be a lot that's going on today. And, I just kind of wanted to, have this moment for myself and be here by myself and so forth. Some things that, may surprise you and may shock you, but that's the thing that we do over here. Sometimes some of the stuff that we talk about, it's awesome, whether if we just want to talk about it because we want to talk about it. Maybe sometimes it's a little bit of shock value. Maybe it could be both. I don't know how, any way I can explain it other than the fact that when we make content of the podcast show here for you on the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, and no matter what podcasting platform that you're listening to or listening on to access our show, whether if it's like Spotify, Apple Podcast, if it's Amazon Music, if it's YouTube Music, or if it's Audible or whatever, we're just here to, have this moment with you and for you to enjoy it, plain and simple. And I think it's the best thing that we can do. We always have fun here, and, we do it for you guys. We do it for ourselves too, because, we find, enjoyment and enrichment in what we do here, but we do it for you guys. It's an incredible thing, and I always feel that anyone who comes over and checks out the podcast show on any of the podcasting platforms, if you check us out, we must be doing something right. We really must be doing something right, and we feel at that point like, wow, if you're listening to us, that's a good start. That's where it starts. At that point, I always say that I let the, audience members do the work in the sense of, sharing it out there on social media with their friends worldwide, or if they're out there, in person with their friends, to tell them face to face. And it's incredible. People have shared this with their friends on Facebook, on Twitter, which is now known as X, on Instagram, on Snapchat, on TikTok. And it's been great. It's wonderful. And we're getting some steam. I mean, maybe not the steam that everybody's thinking, but, we are getting a following. And I feel like if you're getting a following of some sort and somebody actually listens to you, then it's not bad. I think the one thing that I want to say before, we start the show today is to eliminate the stereotype where you need to have millions and millions of, followers of your audience members to be successful. And I want to say that's absolutely false. You don't really have to. I mean, it would be great. It would be amazing if we had that many people. But, for some of us small timers, we're just doing something that we love to do. It's a humble little project that we love to engage in, being a podcaster. And it's a fun thing. It's nothing against the law. We don't break any laws here. We don't get sued or anything. We dot every I, cross every T. Any John Q laws that we see, we're not getting questioned. You know what I mean? And we're just out here doing what we love. And it's incredible. I love it. And I feel like I would do podcasting for a long time until I feel like I know that I can't do it anymore. Like if I physically can't do it anymore, that's probably one thing. But until then, I'm going to still do it. I'm going to still keep rocking it and, still, creating it in the kitchen and then throwing it out there for you guys to enjoy and so I can serve it and, and you guys might say, that tastes wonderful. That's a good dish and I'm loving it. So yeah, that's what I have to say. So let me go ahead and start this off, guys. And I'm going to start it off with some brand news that going forward, we now have found a new home and a new studio to actually do our podcast in. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not going to be doing podcasting over in the Asian Sensation Studios anymore. I mean, that might be like, when it comes to it. But we found a new home. We found a new home, and it is incredible, and it is lovely. We now have a new home in Wheaton, Maryland, at the Prototype Studio. That's right, the Prototype Studio. We have a new home there, and it's going to be amazing. We are going to start recording stuff. We're going to do great things. It's going to be amazing. You know what I mean? It's going to be awesome. The reason why that it actually boiled down to wanting to move over to this new studio in Wheaton, the Prototype Studio, is, it's very simple. When you have so many advantages here over at, the Prototype Studio in Wheaton, it's incredible. Right here off the bat, I've noticed that we have better internet connection and Wi-Fi. So the Wi-Fi capabilities and doing whatever it is that we do here, whether if we need to upload, download, whether if we need to get some information, whatever, comes at you. Lickety split. It's great. It's wonderful. Number two, I do like the comfortable ambiance because I have a nice chair on an awesome desk. And if I have an in-person guest, they can actually sit right across from me on a nice couch. It's not like a leather couch, but it's a real nice couch, guys. It's awesome. And when I saw this, and I actually experimented that one episode recently, I thought to myself, oh my gosh, if we could really have a partnership here, and if we could really create content here, create episodes, that would be amazing. Not to say that we don't appreciate everything that we have in the Asian Sensation Studio, but I feel like right here in the Prototype Studio, there's no holds barred. You know what I mean? There's no restrictions. There's nothing to hold us back. Anything goes here, and it's wonderful. I remember stepping in to inside of the building of the Prototype Studio, and we were greeted by Bob. Bob is one of the proprietors here of the Prototype Studio, and he welcomed us in, and it was really cool. Right off the bat, I was like, wow, this is incredible. This is awesome. Next thing you know, we're checking out stuff and checking out the vibe and everything, and testing out technology and everything, that stuff, and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, yo, this is incredible. This is absolutely incredible. Like, not to really, oh, that was a personal phone call there. Sorry about that. You weren't supposed to hear that. When we, compared the apples to the oranges of, the Asian Sensation Studio versus, the Prototype Studio, it was as clear as day. And not to disrespect the Asian Sensation Studio, because, it served us well for 4 years. and it did its duty and it did what it had to do. And I'll forever be grateful for the opportunities and everything that it provided for us here, over here in this Asian Sensation studio. But, there comes a time, honestly, where, you just kind of have to, say, you know what, we had a good ride in the place that we were at. Now, I know what a lot of people are thinking. Oh, this is the end of the Kim Hoang podcast experience. No, it's not. It's never the end. It's not the end until I tell you that it's the end. When I tell you that's it and that's over and it's the end, that's it. And I feel like I have to be a person of good character to at least tell you out of respect that it would be over. But I don't plan on giving up anytime soon. I don't plan on, quitting. It's just that we're going to a new location in a new spot, and there's so many great advantages here. And I am forever grateful for that. It's really, really lovely. It's awesome. We already have even though that, I have a MacBook Pro, we already have a computer here already set up for if we need to search something online real quick, and we just need to do this and do that, boom, there it is. It's already here for us, ready to go with a nice monitor, and it's incredible. And a webcam. I'm like, holy crap, we're getting a lot here. This is incredible. This is if I thought that this was good, imagine, what more we could possibly get if we really asked for it. But to say that we are here now in the prototype studio in Wheaton and we're getting at least this already is absolutely incredible. It's awesome. And I look at it now and I think to myself, we're making the right moves here in terms of, switching locations. And I feel like there's going to be more opportunity here, more memories to be built and created, and it's going to be awesome. I do feel bad that we have to let the Asian Sensation Studio go. And again, we'll probably have an episode here and an episode there, but it's time to move operations, and it's time to be in a place where we can make it a little bit easier for ourselves to do whatever we want, how we want, and when we want, without any, concerns. And it's lovely, I'm just already thinking about the possibilities of what we can do here in this studio. I'm already thinking about, the possibilities of things to come in the future. Maybe more episodes with more in-person guests. Or at the very least, if they're out of state, virtual guests. But I think it's going to be awesome because when I tested the Wi-Fi here, it made everything on my computer, which is, a MacBook Pro, which is seasoned. I'm not going to tell you how old it is because it's kind of like asking a woman how old she is. She ain't going to tell you. And she'll probably think it's rude as hell. But yeah, it is a seasoned computer. But when I put it on the Wi-Fi and I go on the internet on that Wi-Fi on my MacBook Pro, I'm like, man, this thing's incredible. It's like getting everything I need top speed. So imagine if I actually got to use the Zoom and interview somebody out of state, or out of the country. Oh man, that's going to be incredible. That's going to be fun. And I can't wait. There's so many possibilities here and just so much already that's coming through the pipeline, and I'm already putting it from thought to chalk to the chalkboard and drawing up a little plan and, doing whatever, blah, 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 blah. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. What I also like about this particular location of the prototype studio is, believe it or not, The 7-Eleven is actually a walking distance away from the studio. Like, we're talking about, at the most, it probably takes about 3 minutes, I think, of walking. Maybe 5 if you're really going slow. But yeah, I mean, the distance is great. It's awesome. So, if I want to take a break and say, you know what, I'm going to go over to 7-Eleven. I'm going to get some peanut M&Ms or some regular M&Ms or whatever. I can do that. And, boom, instant access. Okay, time to go back to the studio, make some more recordings. Let's go. Boom. Again, already doing it. Love it. Love it. And I'm happy. I'm really, really happy. It's incredible. And the fact that we have this access is incredible. The only thing I have to say, if anything, is that I want to say thanks to the memories that we had over at the Asian Sensation Studio. I want to thank the Asian Sensation Studio. I really do. I really want to say thank you so much, because for 4 years you gave us a place. For 4 years, that was home, and it was incredible. And it was awesome. And I look back at it from just where I first started, with the Kim Hoang podcast experience. And now we're moving in a little bit closer, to a better goal, if you will. Now, a lot of people are like, where's Wheaton, Maryland? It's outside of the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, so it's still in there. And it's just like, maybe like, instead of getting to D.C. where we were, in the Asian Sensation Studio, which potentially could have took about 10 minutes, give or take. We are like about maybe 15 or 20 minutes outside. But that's okay. That's okay. I like this whole ambiance. I love everything here. This is incredible. This is absolutely incredible. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like Scrooge McDuck in the money bin in DuckTales. You hit the jackpot. And there's so much stuff here. It's great. And I can't wait. I mean, I almost feel like if I could have a guest right now, I probably could, But then again, let's not go that far yet. We still need to bring extra equipment in here and kind of transfer it over here and kind of make it our own. You know what I mean? And I think that, in a sense, we will get that going. It'll be good. But it's definitely going to take some time, for sure. It's definitely going to take some time, but this is a good start. This is a great start. And, again, if you could just see the smile on my face right now, like, the smile on my face could rip apart from my face. It's that simple. It's that simple. And it's that good. You know what I mean? So, we're going to go ahead and take a pause for the cause. We're going to go ahead and chill out for a moment. We're going to take a break. We're going to step outside of the studio. We're going to go ahead and probably get like a cup of coffee over at 7-Eleven or something. Or if for anything, we're going to get some fresh air. You know what I mean? But we will come back. We will come back with round 2. More stuff on the way, including an awesome Q&A. You don't want to miss that. I'm very excited for this. You should be too. So again, we are moving operations. We will no longer be in the Asian Sensation Studio. We are and we thank them for that. But now we are moving over to the Prototype Studio here in Wheaton, Maryland. It's great. It's awesome. Like, literally, Wheaton Plaza is about 5 or 10 minutes up the road following, university. It's going to be great. I'm excited. And I hope that you guys are too. So, guys, let's take a break. Let's do our thing. We're going to come right back because we will have more on the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience in a little bit.
Ever wanted to make a podcast but didn't know how to do it or where to go? Does the idea of pursuing podcasting sounds great, but you're afraid of the expenses that you have to invest in? Then look no further than Spotify for podcasters. They have the tools that you need to create the perfect podcast episode that you want, whether if you want to create it in an audio and or video podcasting form. To those that already podcast, Spotify for Podcasters can help you upload your already completed audio/video podcasts to all of the podcasting platforms that you have a membership to. And the best part is that this is 100% free. No hidden costs, no monthly fees, because you don't have to give them your credit card information, and because Spotify for Podcasters want to help by giving back to everybody. So check them out at podcasters.spotify.com and download their app for free on the Google Play Store and or the Apple App Store. Spotify for Podcasters.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. We are back, and if you hear some background, we actually have moved operations to the outside portion of the Asian Sensation Studios. We're actually out here in the back. There's a table that's like also a bench that you can sit down on the chair, and then you can just go ahead and just do your thing. It's kind of like an old school picnic table that you built like back in the days, and it's really lovely. It's really, really cool. I'm just happy to be here. Before we actually came back, we noticed that our battery supply of our Duracell batteries that's powering this Zoom kind of ran out of juice. But luckily, I have my Anchor power bank battery powering this thing, so this is good. It's going to be, it's going to be awesome. So the fun don't stop. It's still going, man, and it's going strong, and it's good, And, when we were actually on our break, we actually got a text from Bob, one of the guys who works over at the Prototype Studios in Wheaton, Maryland. And, we talked to him for a little bit. We asked a bunch of questions, but overall, we have the thumbs up, and it is a go. So, going forward now, we will be getting everything in order. We'll get everything sorted out, but it looks like now, I can say with full confidence that the new home of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience is now over at the Prototype Studio in Wheaton, Maryland, located outside of the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. And I'm happy. Things could not go any better. This is great. And I want to get, can we get a round of applause for that? Yeah, buddy. Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. So yeah, it's going to be good, and it's going to be awesome. I'm really excited. The stuff that we talked with to Bob about this whole situation, it was great and it was wonderful. And again, like I said in the first segment, I'm very happy that this is working out. Like, I'm very, very happy that this is working out. And, I can't wait to get everything going there, for everything that we need and so forth, and a whole lot more. I'm excited. I haven't been this excited since the Baltimore Ravens went over to the Super Bowl and won it. You know what I mean? I haven't been that, it's been like that for a long time since I was that excited. Or even I'll go as far as saying as last year when Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens went to the AFC Championship to play at home against the Kansas City Chiefs. And speaking of which, it's good to be out here because, it's basically the fall, or, the full term is the fall of summer. I didn't really have time to enjoy the summer like I wanted to. So being out over here outdoors, sitting right here on a bench that's attached to a table, that's out here outdoors, where I'm sitting down here, and there's like a little tarp canopy that's blocking the sun so I don't bake up and I don't burn into a crisp. And it's really awesome to be here, and it's just great. It's just a good moment in time. And I just can't wait for the fall, because fall weather, we're going to have NFL football once again. It's going to be hoodie season, so I'm looking forward to wearing my hoodies and my fleece jackets and all that stuff. And then soon enough, when it's cold, I'll wear my, snowboarding jacket for protection and so forth. It's going to be good. It's really going to be good. It's going to be awesome. And I just can't wait. September, it's still going to be warm for what it's worth. I almost can guarantee that. And then when it comes into October, things start to dwindle down a little bit. It'll still be warm, but you'll feel the cold. You'll feel the cold. And I think by November to December, that's when it hits the fan. You know what I mean? That's the bottom line. So, I'm really excited. I'm happy about this. This is great. This is awesome. And I want to keep going with this. Like, I really want to, keep this in check. So let's go ahead and start it out, man. Round 2 has begun. We are in the boxing ring. Ding, ding, ding. And I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to fight, and I'm ready to, get more with this episode of the podcast, of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, because it's going to be fire, or at least I think it will. So let me go ahead and talk a little bit what happened recently. One of my good friends actually recommended a podcast that he wanted me to listen to. Now, I'm not going to name it, and I'll explain why in a second. You can probably fill in the gaps of why, but you just have to trust me on it. So I was like, okay, this is a good idea. I'm very open-minded to listening to new podcast shows that just came out, or podcast shows that's new to me that I'd never heard of, because as a podcaster, you want to know what's going on, and you want to be relevant, and you want to understand about how other podcasters work. You know what I mean? What's their style? How do they do their podcast? What's their angle and their point of view? Because obviously no two podcasters are ever the same, because they don't approach it the same. They don't do things the same. They don't express it in the same way. There are some people that are very eloquent and they have a good sense of vocabulary. Some people just like to be, more of I'm going to speak in the vocabulary of having just the basic meat and potatoes. I'm not going to go all fancy schmancy, And then there's some people that, they just go ballistic and do whatever the hell they want, no holds barred. They're going to go ahead and, throw a lot of profanity words and say what they want in their own style. And, to me, it's kind of like my podcasting education. I listen to this stuff, I see what's going on, and I listen and I learn. You know what I mean? And it's awesome. And what I was told about this podcast, and, I do like it, it's great, is that, it's very grassroots, meaning, they don't have a lot of fancy equipment. So obviously, what you're expecting in terms of like top quality, podcasting quality, sound quality, editing quality, etc., 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 it's not there. But however, they just make it work, and they just do podcasting for the sheer enjoyment of it. They're like me. You know what I mean? They're not there to make a lot of money out of it. They're not there because, obviously they realize that they're not going to get picked up by Hollywood and make millions of dollars. They're just doing it for the enjoyment and for the pleasure. You know what I mean? It's a form of creativity, like I've been saying to you guys, that podcasting is my creative medium. It is a source of my creativity. I love it, and it's good. And the fact that these guys are doing it just for that reason is incredible. Like, I just look at them, I hear their work, I listen, and I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible, guys. Hats off to you, because you guys are really working hard. You're doing everything that you possibly can, and you're having fun with it. And that's awesome, because at the end of the day, we do this because it's for the sheer enjoyment, the fun of it, the fun factor, or at least that's my opinion. There might be other people that may not agree with it, and that's fine. You do what you want, and you think what you want, and so forth, and that's fine. I don't have anything bad to say. You know what I mean? But, lately when I came over to that podcast, I noticed that there was a review that was written. And it was very, very negative. And I'm just like, hold the phone. What the hell? It basically said, keep quiet and don't talk. You're full of garbage. Everything that you say, everything that you do does not make sense. Nobody listens to you. And you really should just give up podcasting. It's a joke. And anybody that listens to your podcast and anything that you say is just absolutely stupid. Now, I'm all about the fact that you can be a person that expresses their opinion. You know what I mean? I think you have every right to express your opinion. You know what I mean? As long as you do it in a very tasteful manner, that's fine. But when you tell people to, be quiet and don't talk, and you're saying a lot of negative things, that's where I draw the line. You know what I mean? Because who are you to actually say that this person's doing a bad job? The way that I see it, number one, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. You know what I mean? I'd rather be a person that listens to a podcast and say, yeah, it's not for me, and not write a bad review about it. Because I just don't want to be the person that adds the fuel to the fire. But, doing it this way, it's very demeaning. You know what I mean? And it really hurts. It cuts deep. Really cuts deep. And I feel bad for this podcast. I really do. Because, from their perspective, and I'm only saying this in, this manner because I don't really know what they're feeling. I'm just going by, an educational guess. So, yeah, I'm going by that. But I bet you any amount of money, dollars to donuts, that when they saw this review and they saw what was going on, they probably were really ticked off. They were probably very upset about it, and they were just like, what in the world is going on here, and why is this happening, and what's going on here? This is like stupid. This is something that I feel like, we really should say something about this. And, I just, again, my heart is with these guys. It truly is. And the fact that this happened, the fact that, if this happened to any of us podcasters and so forth, I know for a fact that we wouldn't appreciate it. I know that we really would be asking a lot of questions, and we would wonder what in the world that we did to this person that would actually just make them say such mean and hurtful things. It's weird. The way that I'm also looking at it is that, you can be a critic all you want and say these things, but I feel like if you're not doing anything, if you're not out there being a podcaster, if you're not out there entertaining, if you're not, trying to help somebody in a positive way, you're really not doing anything. You're not doing any better. Matter of fact, you're not doing anything at all. So my question to that critic is, why don't you step up to the plate and see, how well you can do? You know what I mean? Do you think that you have what it takes to go ahead and to do this? Can you yourself actually see yourself in a situation where, I can go ahead and do this and make this happen and make a very successful podcast show in the process? I don't know. I mean, I don't have an answer for that, but I do hope that, if you are that person that talks a lot of trash, I'm just hoping that you'll be able to go ahead and back it up by actually showing us how to do a successful podcast show. I want you to demonstrate for us how this works. You know what I mean? Because I'm kind of confused here on, why or how, this is even happening. Why is this even happening? What did that person seriously do to you? I'm very curious here. I really want to know what the situation is. Because the way that I see it, this dude and the co-host and everything, they're working hard. They're working hard. They're having fun. They're doing things for the sheer enjoyment. Just like how us other podcasters out there in the world, we're probably doing it for fun. We know that we're not making millions and millions and millions of dollars, and we're getting like these national endorsements from Joe Rogan, Stephen A. Smith, Steve Harvey, and the rest of those big wigs that have a big celebrity name that gives them an automatic following for their podcast. You know what I mean? We're just the small fries here in a big fast food chain world. You know what I mean? I'm really happy for the fact that when I come over here, I'm having fun. And at the same time, if I can give you guys advice from my perspective or give you like some kind of thought, I'm going to do it. I realize that I'm not making big money out of it. I realize the fact that, there may not be millions and millions of people listening. You know what I mean? But if somebody is listening, that's good for me. That's awesome. And I hope that they enjoy it. And I hope that they actually contact me and let me know how I'm doing. Or if they have a question, ask me a question. I'm always down for that. But I can't in good conscience be that type of person that if there's a bad podcast that I'm going to say, be quiet, and don't talk. Listen, blah, 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 blah. And then say things like, nobody's listening to you. Everything that you say sucks and all that stuff. That's just, that's rude. That is rude and that is ridiculous, man. I can't even, again, when I saw that, I'm not even the person, and I was offended. I was really offended. I'm like, geez, come on, man. That's like literally like you're striking out somebody in the baseball game. You already know that they're struck out, so you don't have to do anything anymore. But you run over to that guy, you being the pitcher, you have the ball in hand, you're running to that guy, and to add insult to injury, you throw the baseball, you beam it, like, at his head or in his stomach or something, just to rub it in their face. Come on, man. Now, come on. Seriously, come on now. Don't be that person that, grabs the person by the face and slam it right into the cow dung. You know what I mean? Because, what is that going to prove? Besides the point that you're already a Class A jerk. You know what I mean? Real people, mature people, people of tolerance and understanding, and that's open-minded. Yeah, they would actually go ahead and say things in a constructive manner, or they just won't say anything at all. They'll be the mature person. They'll go ahead and do it. It's cool. They'll just be like, all right, well, wasn't my flavor, but I'm not going to dog them. I'm just going to go ahead and let them do them. And, if for anything, if they say, email us and give us constructive criticism, sure, I'll do it that way. But I would never, ever put them out on blast to a point where I give them like a terrible review of giving them maybe a possible 0 stars out of 5. There's no way in the world that I could do that. I don't even know if you could give them 0 stars out of 5. But I tell you, I mean, I'm just flabbergasted. I'm offended. I'm offended. I don't know what more I can say other than the fact that, man, I just kind of wish that, that didn't happen. But it did. Nothing much more that we can do. And to that podcast show, I'm just going to say, guys, I get it. I feel you. It sucks being in that position, for sure. I'm just hoping that you guys will learn from this situation and that you will keep your head up and that you will not let this situation bother you. You will not let this situation get the best of you. You know what I mean? Because you guys are strong. You guys are better than that. You guys have a lot to offer the podcasting world. And yeah, I just can't wait, So keep your head up, guys. Keep your head up, chin up. And just know that you guys still have a lot of fight, And it ain't over until, the bell is rung. And they say it's over. And either they'll go to a judge's decision or just say, yeah, dude is knocked out. So it's not done. It's not done. The mission's still incomplete, guys. So it's not done. We're going to go ahead and take a break. We are going to go ahead and do our thing. So go ahead and take a break, whether if you need to get some water, go to the restroom, or get something to eat. Because when we come back, the greatest segment of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, the Q&A forum, question and answers. You sent the questions, and I will answer them. And it's going to be fun. You know what I mean? So stay tuned, guys, because we will have more on the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience when we return. All right? We'll see you in a bit.
In life, we all want to have great health and excellent physical fitness. However, it's never given, only earned. That said, if you want to go to a gym that will help you to get there, then look no further than Kicked Up Fitness at National Business Parkway in Annapolis Junction, Maryland. Their mission at Kicked Up is to provide the ultimate functioning training facility that focuses solely on your success, with a diverse team that's highly qualified and dedicated to taking your fitness goals to the next level. Kicked Up also offers a variety of group classes and personal training programs that provide something for everyone, regardless of your fitness level. They believe in working hard, achieving results, all while having fun. So come visit their facility in person, which is located at 114 National Business Parkway, Suite 100 in Annapolis Junction, Maryland, 20701. Now, if you see my friend Sean Queen, who's the owner of Kicked Up, tell him that Benny Chow of Miscalculated sent you, and he'll hook you up with a complimentary 7-day pass just to try it out. Need more info? Give him a call. 410-888-9066. Email them at kufitnessnbp@gmail.com or visit them at their website at www.kufitnessnbp.com. Kicked Up Fitness. Never given, only earned.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. And I got to say, being here, it's amazing. It's awesome. I'm loving it. And, I can't believe it. This is, again, like I said before, this is not the last episode ever in life. But it is an end where we will have a new home. And, lots of great memories, man. I could go on and on and on about it, and I could talk, about this whole situation like a broken record, which, basically I already have, so it's nothing new. But, I just can't wait to make new content under the new house, and it's crazy. And, when I think about it, it's like, my gosh, it's like that Boyz II Men song, it's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. Okay, see, I that's the reason why I'm not a singer. I sing very terribly, but hey, it's true, man. It's true. You know what I mean? So, We're in for it, ladies and gentlemen. This is the final portion, the last portion of the Kim Hoang podcast experience. But before we get into that, I do have a disclaimer that I would like to read out there because it's very important that I, say it so that way I don't forget, for number one. But number two, I get this out of my system because I always feel like it's the harder thing to explain. So here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, here at the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, we are asking for assistance on a voluntary basis to anyone out there that would like to, assist us on our podcast show by the ways of, generously donating financially or giving us any kind of sponsorship to help out our podcast so we can make the quality of our podcast a lot better. Now, anything that you're willing to donate financially, any proceeds or money, number one, we appreciate that. And number two, we will use those proceeds and that money in order to be getting better equipment, more equipment for, the podcast, such as, better microphones and more microphones for in-studio guests, the XLR cables that are connected and needed for those type of microphones, headphones, for our in-studio guests so that they can wear it on their heads and they can hear what's going on, and so much more. Things like a brand new MacBook Pro for from an Apple, so that we can actually record stuff and we can edit our podcast in a more of a brand new setting. Also making sure that with certain programs that we need, like GarageBand, it's the most up-to-date and current edition, and so forth. Whatever you like to donate, it can help us out. Now, this is the part of the whole thing where I say it's like a little bit of a joke. But, if you want to donate like $5 million, that's cool, which in reality, I don't think anybody would donate that. But hey, you never know. I mean, it's for a dream. It's cool. But, any amount helps. Even as, $5, every little bit helps, and we do appreciate it. Now, you can make a generous donation either by the ways of PayPal, Venmo, and or CashApp. If you want to do it by PayPal and by Venmo, just look us up under the screen name at KimHoangMDActor. That's once again at KimHoangMDActor, and at CashApp under the screen name the $, KimHoangMDActor. That's once again the $, KimHoangMDActor. We truly appreciate all the love and support that you give us in that respect. And again, every little bit helps. So if you want to help donate to the cause of our podcast, we do appreciate that, no doubt. Now, that being said, we are here and we're about to do the main event of the evening. We have come to this point, and if you made it to this point, it's awesome. Our Q&A forum. That's right, the Q&A session, aka question and answer. 7 questions. You wrote them, I answer them. And it's, I looked at it and I'm like, oh, okay, we got some good stuff here today. So I'm really excited. And I'm ready to rock and roll. I don't know about you. I'm going to do my best to answer it, because there is a lot that's going on here today, and I'm just ready to go ahead and do it. I got the sheet of paper that has all the questions, so let's rock and roll. Question number 1. Kim, you said on episode 29 of the 3rd season that you left your job of 4 years, and you also had mentioned that you won't miss it. Can you elaborate? Claire from Silver City, New Mexico. Claire, well, let me just give a proper clarification. Yes, I did say that, I did state that I left my job of 4 years, my last job I did. I said that there was some aspects that I will miss, and there were some that are, aspects that I will not miss. The aspects that I will miss is like, some of the employees that I got along with well, that I felt like, we had a very good professional relationship, and I felt like they gave me the time of day and they appreciated everything that I did. It's really cool and really awesome when you have people that say that you did a good job, that were supporting you, and they literally said, hey, awesome, we wish you the best, and we want to be in your corner. And I just thought to myself, man, that's awesome. That's really awesome that they would say that, or if they didn't say that directly, then they actually just, they were thinking about it, and that their good energy was passed on to me. What I said on the other part about, that I won't miss it, is that I just won't miss the way that, I was negatively kind of treated, in the sense that, I was just really nothing to them. And, I really won't miss the leadership that came along with it, because everybody knows that, I just felt like there was some things that were very questionable, and I just didn't like the way that, the direction that it was going. And I don't want to say too much. I really don't. I just want to kind of put it in this situation in this way of saying that, what was in the past was in the past. I was there. I was working hard. I was doing my thing. And for 4 years, they gave me employment. And, just because you have a job doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to keep it, forever. And you don't necessarily have to like it. I think that first we did our thing, and, it was a good dynamic. But then, we, like that Journey song, we just kind of went our separate ways, And I think that when you get to that point in your life with that job, or any job that you have, that you're feeling like there's a rift and there's nothing else left in the tank, and you're feeling uncomfortable, it's just time. And you can go back over to that episode, on episode 29, and kind of review it. But I was a little bit I wasn't very explicit of what I was trying to say, and what I did say, and what I meant, and so forth. And you can just be the judge for yourself. But I don't think that, at least in my opinion, I don't feel like I was being not honest. I was definitely being honest, but at the same time, I think I was being respectful at the same time. So there it is. Question number 2, Kim. When there is an argument that you are involved in, what do you do to de-escalate the situation? Andrew from Elko, Nevada. Wow, I did not know that there was a town called Elko. You learn something new every day, folks. Andrew, it's quite simple. If I'm in an argument with somebody, the one main thing I would like to do is I would like to talk to that person. But that person's got to be very calm, and they got to be in an attitude where it's like, okay, I know that, I can talk to him in this way, or talk to her in this way, because they're showing calm behavior. They're not being, argumentative. They're not raising their tone. I can tell, whether if they're using bad energy, it's got to be a point where their energy is good, and that they're willing to listen, and that they won't really raise their voice. And if that happens, 9 times out of 10, I definitely will be able to talk to them, and talk to them calm, and try to, solve the problem right then and there. But if it gets too much, and, the heat is on, basically I walk away, and I just leave it at that. And it's not to admit that, you're who is right or who is wrong, or them saying that you're wrong or whatever. But it's just a way of saying, you don't put gasoline to get rid of fires. You know what I mean? You're just walking away because you don't want to deal with the situation anymore. You choose not to argue with them and debate with them about the certain things. And, that's the more mature route to go. If they try to egg it on, again, walk away, get as far away from that situation as possible. And don't talk about it until, it's time to talk about it, but at the same time that you're willing to talk about it in a mature, calm, positive energy way, in that type of manner. Because if you don't, it will never get solved. Nothing gets accomplished. You end up, having more arguments, and nobody wants that. And I always try to take the high road, never be in the low road. I never want to give them that satisfaction. I never want to play dirty ball with, those kind of players. You know what I mean? Because two wrongs don't make a right. I'm trying to be the bigger person, and I'm going to take that high road. So, Andrew, I hope that does answer your question. Question number 3. Kim, when you tested for your 3rd degree black belt in Taekwondo, what was the hard part? Kimberly from Kaloa, Hawaii. Hey, aloha. Much aloha and love. Kimberly, I'll say this. What was the hard part, in the 3rd degree black belt test, in my opinion, was, basically doing what I needed to do, which was the forms and anything else that, the black belt judges, aka like your grandmasters and headmasters, want you to, display for them, so they know that you're mature enough and you have an understanding of what you needed to do in order to get to that, next level. Because, when you test, you really don't know for sure what they want you to do. You just have to be prepared for anything and everything. You know what I mean? Now, sometimes, I'll give you a little hint. Sometimes they might tell you ahead of time what you have to prepare for. And if that's the case, then you're golden. You know what I mean? I think the easy part is when you're a black belt testing for a higher degree, you kind of understand the situation where you know now what is expected, and you now know, what the standard is in order to get to that upper echelon. And I'll give you an example. When I tested for my 3rd degree black belt, at the time, obviously, I was a 2nd degree black belt. But I kind of knew at that point, how it was going to be. Because I already tested before, being a 1st degree black belt, testing into a 2nd degree black belt. I just only knew that at this point, it was going to be a little bit more difficult and a little bit more challenging. But I was okay with that. And the secret to that is just, number one, and it's common knowledge, be prepared, start training and be prepared for everything that you need to do for your test. Like if you need to run over like a certain form here and a certain form there, you better, review it, train in it, and make sure that you know that thing from A to Z, top to bottom, back to front, front to back, whatever. Because it's very important. The last thing you want to do is just, test for a black belt, be unprepared, and the worst case happens, which that should not happen. If you're a person that's very serious about your training and you know that you want to do your best and you want to pass and you want to succeed, preparation's that key, you know what I mean? So I think that was the hard part there, you know what I mean? And also, I think another hard part was the fact that I had 2 grandmasters looking at me, basically, that headed that table. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, they know a lot. They know the art. They've been training in the art for years and years, even before I was born. So they know what the standard is, and they kind of expect the same thing. So, knock on wood, but yeah, that's it for me. That was the hard part. And I'm glad I went through that process. Question number 4. Kim, you've been podcasting for about 4 years now. Does it get easier or is it still hard for you? Rex from Evansville, Indiana. Rex, it's a little bit of column A and column B. It gets a little bit easier because now that I've done podcasting for 4 years, now I know, my own style and structure. So, yeah, I've tried to incorporate that a little bit more, and I feel good about it because now it's like, now we found a little bit of a formula that works. It still gets hard because, even at the point of doing the podcast and having like that structure and knowing that I have to cover subject A and subject B, sometimes it does get a little bit hard because, I'm trying to find the right words. I'm trying to sound good, and I'm not trying to sound like, the token idiot, if you will. I'm not trying to sound like a person that does not know what he's talking about. I'm trying to sound like a person that does know what he's talking about, and he says it with confidence and conviction and feeling. So, yeah, the only thing I can say is that the more times that you actually do it, I think eventually you will get used to it. And then from there, it's just, finding your way. So I hope that does answer your question, Rex. Appreciate you. Question number 5. Kim, are there any martial art tournaments out there that you miss? The ones that you wish that they would bring back to life because it's no longer there. Michelle from Fort Dodge, Iowa. My martial art tournament experience was mostly like traditional. It wasn't like the sport karate stuff like NASCA, although, I've competed in tournaments where, the NASCA, competitors have competed in that tournament. One particular tournament which I wish they would bring back is the S. Henry Cho's All-American Open in New York City. It used to be over at Madison Square Garden, and it was really cool because, when you competed in Madison Square Garden, there was like a lot that was going on in there. There's a lot of history, and that's a major arena when it comes to, looking at sports like the New York Knicks, or, when the WWE comes into town, or a big concert venue. It's all of that in a bag of chips, you know what I mean? So I wish they would bring the S. Henry Cho All-American Open Martial Arts Tournament back, and that it would be back in Madison Square Garden. You know what I mean? Another tournament that I miss a lot was the Chung So's tournament over in Hanover, Pennsylvania. And that was a good one. I think that was a tournament that was ran fair. It was really good and it was fun, and everybody had a blast with it. Those are the 2 tournaments that I do miss the most, and I wish that they would bring back. Third one, if there's a bonus one I can throw in, would be the KimHoangMDActor Eagle Classic Tournament in Rockville, Maryland. I know after a while they just stopped doing it, and I was like thinking, my God, why? Because it's such a great tournament. It's in the Washington, D.C. area, so anybody that's in that area can travel there very easily. You can get there like within minutes, and it's good. I don't know what happened to that tournament, but I wish they brought that back. But from what I understand, I don't think that they're going to be bringing it back anytime soon. So those are the martial art tournaments that I do miss the most. Question number 6. Kim, if there is a dessert that was presented to you, what is a requirement that, that the dessert must have for you? Like, what is the one thing that you need that dessert to have in order for you to be like, okay, yeah, I want that dessert? Troy from Jackson, Tennessee. And Troy, very simple. There's 2 criterias. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the same thing at the same time. But one thing that I do like to have in a dessert is anything with fruit like blackberries or strawberries or something like that. I think it does make the dish and it makes it awesome. You know, the natural taste and flavor of like, you know, fruit, you know, in a dessert. Man, it just makes it good. It makes it really good. Another thing that I like is I'm a chocolate buff. I love chocolate, and anything chocolate in a dessert already to me is a winner. So I think those are the two things, you know, that are important to me that would meet my personal criteria of this is the dessert and this is something that must happen, you know, in a dessert application. So there it is. All right. Oh my God. Oh, I need to get a drink for this one. This is yeah. Oh my God. They saved the most technical one for last. Question number 7. Kim, what tools, in your opinion, would you think makes the best podcast in terms of sound quality? Trishelle from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Oh, Winston-Salem, North Carolina? Okay, cool. Yeah, I've been there before. Oh my God. Trishelle, you ask a very good question because it is very technical. You also said, you know, what would make the best podcast in terms of sound quality, the tools that are required, in my opinion. Number one, I think that it's very important that you get like a very good microphone, and the ones that require an XLR connection, because when you actually speak into a professional microphone, and especially in a microphone that has an XLR connection, that almost guarantees that you're going to have a very good quality of sound. You know what I mean? And anything from the Shure microphones, I feel like, are the best ones to work with in that respect. Number 2, you're going to need to have an XLR cable for that microphone. You know what I mean? Because there's no way that it can work unless you have a direct connection. And I think that's very important. Last but not least, something of a podcast recorder in the sense of what I use. I use the Zoom PodTrack P4 because I think it's a very good podcasting recording device that really stands out and really helps me out to get like the best type of podcasts out there in terms of the quality. The one that I work with is the Zoom PodTrack P4, which is very inexpensive for $149.99. The catch is that, number one, it works with either a AA batteries, you need 2 of them, in the bottom of the Zoom device, or if you have a USB-C wire that's connected to a USB and you plug it in, then the electricity and the power that's coming from the electrical outlet to the charger will hit the Zoom PodTrack and will power that puppy for you. You know what I mean? Also, with the Zoom PodTrack, you have the potential to hook up 4 microphones because there's 4 XLR ports. So that means you need to have 4 good XLR-based microphones and 4 XLR cables. You know what I mean? As a bonus added, I think that another tool that you'll need is headphones. You know what I mean? So you can hear the quality and you can understand it. That's the best way, I think, that in terms of getting the best sound quality, that's the way to go. You don't have to take my opinion. As I say, it's just an opinion, but I've been doing podcasting for a while, so you already know that I mean business, and that, when I speak about that, especially with the activity that I, have been doing for quite some time, then you know that I have experience in that arena. So there it is. Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That is officially all she wrote. And we're going to go ahead and close it out. So here it goes. Guys, you can follow us on all of the social media pages out there because we belong to a lot of them. Find us on Facebook, go under the search box, type in the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, and you'll find us. You know what I mean? Follow us, we'll follow you back. We are also on social media pages such as Twitter, now known as X, and Instagram. Find us under the screen name at TKHPC Experience, all in one word. Once again, it's at TKHPC EXPERIENCE. Basically, all in one word, all lowercase letters, no spacing, no punctuations. Follow us, and we will follow you back. Now, do us a favor. Like us and subscribe to our podcast on all the major podcasting platforms, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, and now the podcasting platform, which is also a platform for all audiobooks online, called Audible, which is powered by Amazon. And if you actually sign up for a trial membership right now, you can actually get Audible for 7 days absolutely free. And if you actually like it and you want to keep it, it's going to be $15 per month. Now, here we go with the thing that we need to let you know. Please do us a favor and, number one, giving us a very good recommendation on either A, Spotify, and B, Apple Podcasts. How do you do that? Well, go to Spotify, look up our podcast, and give it a 5-star ranking. On Apple Podcasts, do the same thing. Go over Apple Podcasts, type in the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, give us a 5-star ranking and a positive written review. Why? Because the more times that you do that for each of those podcasting platforms, then our podcast will actually be going over to the front page, at the front of the line, and people will actually notice it. And then somebody might be like, oh, the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. That's what my boy George actually told me about. And George is a very good character on podcasts. I think I should go ahead and check it out. Yes, check it out. Like it. Subscribe to it. Subscribe to it on all of those platforms. You know what I mean? And tell your friends, whether if it's on social media like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, now known as X. We also got Snapchat, and we also have TikTok. Let them know that way, or let them know the old school way of just actually going to a person that face to face and let them know about the situation. Because in this particular situation, it's called brand awareness, and sharing is caring, and we really want to share and get the word out. Last but not least, if you want to be a special guest host, if you want to be a special guest on our show, if you have any questions that you want to ask for our Q&A forum, and or if you have any constructive criticism, please email us at the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience at gmail.com. Whatever the subject is, put it on the subject box. And then afterwards, in the body of the email, go ahead and write out whatever you need. Send it out to me. I'll make sure that I'll be able to read it, because I do love my emails, and I love reading it, and I love corresponding and answering back, which will probably take about a day or two. And I feel like that's the proper way of doing it. We really think that doing it that way is really awesome. And just to keep that communication open, it's awesome. And I want to give it to you, and I want to let you know what's going on, and just let you know that I'm there in that sense. So that said, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. We've had some great memories here in the Asian Sensation Studios, but it's time to move on to our new home over at the Prototype Studio over in Wheaton, Maryland, which is, not far from where we are, here in the Asian Sensation Studio. It's probably about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, with local traffic, and it's good. It's going to be a new start, a new beginning, new opportunities, and we're happy, man. We're loving it. We're loving every moment of it, and it's great. I do want to say thank you for all the love and support that you guys give to us. It's incredible, and we do appreciate that. We do appreciate the fact that maybe that you have shared this out with everybody that on social media or in person. We definitely appreciate that. And again, we still ask you to continue doing that for us because we just really want to get ourselves out there. Please be safe out there and do the right things in life. Be safe. Don't do anything that you're going to regret because it doesn't do us anything, great or good or anything of that sort if you actually make the wrong decisions in life that will cause you to get buried in a pine box and get lowered in 6 feet under. We do not want that to happen to you because we want you to be well. We want you to be healthy. We want you to be happy. We want you to be loving life because you deserve it. You genuinely do. And I think that it's the best thing going for you, and it's the best thing that you can have. And if anybody tells you anything different, if they say anything negative, or if they say anything that, that might be hurtful to you, just tell them to kiss your butt and kick rocks, man, because we have no time in life to listen to other people's, negativity and mean words and insults. Save the drama for your mama, if you will. It was what I was taught way back in the day, and it remains true. You know what I mean? So for the one time, this is your boy Kim Hoang, the Asian sensation. Your voice with that is the number one choice, saying Asian Sensation Studios. To you first, I want to say thank you for the memories. We appreciate it, and we'll stop by again. And who knows, maybe we might be able to make an episode here and an episode there. But until then, we found a new home, and it's great. To you guys listening in the audience, we just love you guys. We really do. Thank you so much for everything. God bless y'all, and we're going to do it again soon. All right. Be good, everybody. Take care. And we'll check you out on the next one. Peace.